The main topic of discussion for today is to pave a roadmap for automotive suppliers, faster innovation, integrated manufacturing, and program planning and execution.
Like to have efficient manufacturing, Siemens PLM software, Marathwada Auto Cluster, and Chamber of Marathwada Industries and Agriculture on one platform for the betterment of auto industries, auto component industries, not just in Aurangabad.
We are here to make a roadmap for the future. We are here to discuss the challenges which are coming down in the industrial's way. We are here to compete with the world. We are here today to understand how efficiently we can work together, hand in hand, so that our coming future we are competitive enough to be with the world's speed and state.
Whenever there is a product design change or a new product development, the pressures get generated. How to address these pressures and make the customer happy depends on what the wherewithal the industry has with them, how quickly they respond to the OEMs changing.
We can say that there is a global competition today in every industry, and more so in automotive and auto component suppliers. They are really very hard pressed for the cost all the time and keep on wondering how to bring down the cost year on year, 10%, 20% year on year. It's a huge, huge challenge. Apart from this, the production is also uncertain. The product suddenly is changed by the OEM, so they demand something else tomorrow. Actually, from auto OEM side also, the whole world scenario, the whole industrial scenario, I can say we are living in the VUCA world. You know, VUCA is VUCA, that is volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. It is really a hard fact of life today for us, for all of us. We have to survive in the VUCA world. And for such survivals, definitely we need to work on various ways and means of countering these VUCA parameters. And at the same time, we have to be very fast and quick into that. So that speed is of essence, and that is a reason why we have to take help from IT and the various tools which are developed worldwide by companies like Siemens. Another important factor is the innovation today. I would say that innovation is ruling the world today. Today is the era of innovation, and also more of the disruptive innovations.
Kelkar mentioned about the importance of innovation. That it's the innovative world, it's the innovative manufacturing, and unless you have innovation, you won't get a place in the world. So not just in the domestic industry point of view, also from the world point of view, because the global industry needs innovation. And as you mentioned about the VUCA world, because the world is currently volatile, uncertain, there is lots of things happening all over the world, whether it's in terms of change in the manufacturing paradigm or change in the manufacturing processes, change in the customization, change in the requirements from OEMs or any other manufacturer. Earlier the shop floors used to be, automotive industry currently faces the challenges arising out of stricter fuel economy, emission standards along with improvements in safety, growth of intelligent mobility, and the most important, the customer desires for integrating their lifestyles into the vehicle. First question, what are the key challenges faced by automotive suppliers currently in terms of dealing with the increasing pressures to improve operational performance while maintaining the costs and at the same time meeting the escalating OEM requirements, be it Indian or global, multiple configurations and regulatory framework?
Also expect a lot of technology development at the supplier end, because like everybody is now concentrating on what is their core competence. Auto OEMs look at making the whole vehicle, integrating all the components, and trying to give a product to end user which works for the kind of need it has, or the kind of job he wants to get it done, or she wants to get it done from the vehicle. And from that, what they expect from the automotive suppliers is that the supplier design, development, testing, all that the supplier should take care. So we need to have as a suppliers the design capability, development capability, validation capability. So, and getting on to the say new product requirements, we need to have much more say sort of faster development. We need to have much accelerated validation, then rapid prototyping, lot of computer-aided engineering to do a sort of prediction analysis of how the component or product is going to behave rather than waiting for it to fail in the field.
Challenges which I feel are very important, that it's a continual change demand by our customers. Maybe it's engineering change, maybe it's quantity change, maybe it's development change. So this is a continuous process. So development once done is not complete. So it demands for a continuous change. The second challenge I feel is the variety of the parts which one company has to deal with. The variety of components or variety of parts along with the complexity of the numbers. Like you may have to sell 5 numbers per day, or from 5 numbers per day to almost 2000 numbers per day. So that complexity is there. So that's a challenge always auto component business faces. And the third is most important, that recently what is happening is that the product life cycle for the OEMs is reduced. So the part supplier also has to face that cycle of the product.
One is the cost. Every auto component OE is that every time he is asking about the cost also. To say, I think we have to improve the employees' capability, educationally background, and experience background and automations.
Is to be taken to make your manufacturing, make your design, make your development flexible, faster, and innovative.
Please make a concrete solution to each and every process. Then we go for next development ideology, and then the development and your total process has to be synchronized, and then we have to make it simplest with educated, trained manpower, and then it will be happen. It's a very strong way.
Approach for the design is quite important. Learning from the past, of course, the past failures, it should be a sort of a mandatory line that whatever the failure earlier occurred should not reoccur, and giving a robust, structured way to looking at problems and problem solving is again need of the hour.
Two-wheeler industry in India as well as few companies abroad. So what are the strategies and initiatives taken by your company to accommodate the sudden changes required from the OEMs?
Modular or parametric tooling, and these toolings can be then extrapolated to various product lines. So we have almost 6 to 7 types of product lines, and for each line we have a typical type of tooling model which we use, in which most of the times we make the standardization of our child parts which are going into toolings. So that helps us in quick changing when there is a change required or engineering change required for the particular component in development stage. That flexibility we have brought in by using robotic manufacturing, robotic welding options and cells which we have installed. So this is the way we have taken challenges in manufacturing.
Advise or address this kind of situation to predict or to anticipate the changes in the requirements, as well as to improve the existing processes, existing design development processes, and have some kind of earlier realization of innovations or earlier realization of validation.
here is not just cross-functional. Now, cross-disciplinary collaboration is also very important. You cannot afford to have in any development environment only one cross-functional team, manufacturing, purchasing. Now you have to have different cross-disciplinary teams as well. You need to have sales people, marketing people, analysis people. Different functions have to be put together, because that is where you can gain some more, you can find some more opportunities to be faster than the next person. Companies that are also looking at it a step further, and they're saying that I have a RFQ in the market, but what is the time to money? Unless and until I can predict that when will I start shipping out X number of parts and start invoicing them for that, I need to look at that as a metric. And if I don't measure that, then I'm risking, either not growing as fast as the other guys are growing. The other challenge, suppliers, Mrs. Kelkar mentioned that if you're not global, then you really need to have probably plan B and plan C. This is putting a lot of load on suppliers to have dispersed marketing organizations, dispersed sales organizations, dispersed services organization. And I think that also has to be factored in as companies are responding to these fast changing requirements of the customers, because they expect you to be very close to them to understand their requirements.
Your views on maximizing the collaborations with OEMs for enhancing productivity, for enhancing the effectiveness of the processes, effectiveness of the products, and also the flexibility. So how can you achieve those maximum collaborations with OEMs so that there is no gaps in terms of the quality, in terms of the cost, in terms of the added features, in terms of the functionalities? So how do you ensure that? So as
entire design and development process, suppose, whether you take just the design development or NPI, that means including introduction, manufacturing, and the introduction, etc. So it's an entire cycle, and the earlier you partner with your suppliers, the better are the chances that you will beat the market and the cycle time, etc. So a lot depends also upon the suppliers to upgrade their manpower, their skills, etc., so that they can work along with the OEM at a very early stage and participate in the entire structured methodology of improvement.
First of all, I have to suggest OEM to supplier. First share the drawings, development status quo, and another toolings, and what the process is there. They all share to our supplier, and we have to assist the supplier also. This is a capable supplier or not. He have infrastructure. He have all arrangement for my product or not. And then we have to suggest him if there is a lack of point. We have to suggest he has to improve first time. Then his improvement by my team, and that team will be suggested how to do the process fast. There is the 3 point is very important. The one of the time bonding, then the cost and development period. It is the basic 3 points required to my supplier. And when they are fulfilled, then we have to go by the process in the next stage. I suggest to my supplier every time and every moment, you have to ahead up 2 stage for others. So we will go fast development and quick change also.
And meet your customer with certain alternative processes or maybe alternative materials to study the manufacturability of the products which designer is designing at a very early stage always helps to reduce the iterations of the samples or to reduce the iterations of the development period. That always helps. So the alternating, so what supplier needs to have as the knowledge of different kind of materials, then different kind of processes, so that it can be discussed with the designer. And ultimately then the collaboration with the designer with these different ideas of manufacturability always helps. We also work on how this can be achieved. So I feel that a consistent effort in innovation is always required. So you need to continually improve your processes. Every time you have to add fresh value, thinking that what I can do today better than yesterday. So if we follow that idea and if we continuously add fresh value, then that message definitely is will always be taken by our customers. Then they come back to you again to discuss on the new products and parts.
You just mentioned about the data security. So can you just throw some light on that? Because in India, at least, as you mentioned, sharing the data is always a problem because people would like to be a confidential thing.
So security is now very heavily dependent on the technology that you use. And I think automotive industry will sort of relearn that from the defense industry. Now we work with a lot of defense companies. And just to take a quick minute, a lot of the defense contracts that are going out in the market in India, they are forcing adversaries to come together. Because, the government says that you should have 1,000 acres of land and you should have so much infrastructure. And these companies don't have that. So while they're adversaries, they come together and then they bid for projects. There are projects like tactical command system, battlefield management systems. These are very famous defense projects that are currently being given out. And you will see Tata and L&T, which are absolute adversaries, they have come together. And we can take a cue from there. Now, they all want to safeguard their IP like no man's business, but they have to come together and work. And they're using technology solutions which allow people to collaborate in an environment, and only that portion of the data that you're supposed to see, you will see that. And only that portion of the data that you are supposed to change, you will be able to change. All this while in the same environment. So all of us are logging into the same system, but depending on our credentials, I can mark out this is my IP, make this a black box, and then let the interface happen. So I think technology is the way to ensure that data security is also maintained and the collaboration is also not hampered.
The aspect where the data security is required is when we do a lot of innovation, always there is a concern that whether my data will get leaked and someone else will also do. Because whatever innovation we do, we have only 6 months window, if at all. Like once the product comes into the market, anybody can again look at it and do something better than that. Now, if that information leaks when the product is getting developed itself, then it creates a problem. So another important thing for which I think especially automotive suppliers need to gear up themselves is how do they take care of their intellectual property.
When we decide to have some changes in your product portfolio or in your production processes as an auto component manufacturer, how do you realize or how do you anticipate the impact of those changes in your product and those changes in your product development process and manufacturing processes? So how do you analyze or realize that impact on the requirements of OEMs? So it can be in terms of some changes made on your own, not as per the requirements of OEMs, but with your initiatives. You have made some changes in your product or in your processes. So how do you analyze that impact on the OEMs or on OEMs' decisions to work with you?
What happens is as I said, that continual improvement is required. So we go on developing and finding out new ways of doing the things in a different manner. So the processes are developed. And definitely I feel that we should have a collaborative approach to discuss with our OEMs and customers about those processes which we adopt subsequently, because ultimately the output of the product through those processes are more important. And when you discuss and share those details with the customer, I think that gains the confidence of OEM with the supplier. So that's how we normally follow.
From the OEM point of view, obviously, every part goes through a PPAP methodology. And therefore, any change which needs to be done has to be approved. So there is a change notification and approval process, etc. It's very important. And to the extent that we would analyze, we will ask for an analysis of 5M, man, material, method, etc. So that we understand what is the impact of the same, whether on cost, capacity, or consistency in quality. everything. And that is one area where there is always a lot of friction. Because if you know, on the ground, reality is in India, suppliers, there will be can be a turnover of employees, new person, not trained, or some machine gone on a breakdown, so okay, take circuitous route, go to some other machines, etc., without informing the OEM. So those are a strict no-no. But there are challenges, and one cannot police it. So I think we expect that the suppliers, as such, they understand the importance of reliability and consistency and trust, which is there, because at the end of it, it has to be a PPAP product, and any change has to go through at least a notification and assessment of what are the risks involved.
That would be the roadmap to have a proper collaboration between the suppliers and OEMs to make your systems, to make your development process flexible, easily affordable at low cost, at the same time ensuring the quality which is required, I will say global quality, which is required by the customer. So I will start with...
Summarize the next roadmap like first, the first question is the faster the OEMs are sending the drawings, then component supplier are able to read that properly and develop that properly, and then he has to implement that properly, and again send to this first piece of approval to OEM, and then go for the production. It is the fastest.
The OEM and the suppliers are part of a team to win in the marketplace. OEM being the front, maybe, who is going to win against a very, very competitive market. And I think the tagline should be collaboration. So what all can we do to really collaborate, and also have the mindset to collaborate, not only in the form of upskilling the technology so that, you can, at the, flick of a button, you should be able to communicate, this is my red line drawing, or this is my CAD 3D diagram, or this is my result of my prototyping or testing, etc. But also it should be there in the mindset. There can be changes. There can be last minute changes. How prepared am I to tackle the last minute changes? So it's all about collaboration. Use everything that you have in your kit, including technology, including skilled manpower, including idle benches, idle capacity, and also mostly mindset that together you will have to win against a competitive market.
This is a co-creation. So whatever we do has to be done, because otherwise the supplier can keep developing their own products and all that, and customer may not need it even. So from that point of view, it is important that whatever all the development projects we take up, all that should be in requirement with the customer. There has to be a joint development program jotted down, not for this year, next year, but for next 5 years at least. And then jointly working towards solving a critical problem, what we envisage, or critical improvement, what we are looking at. So I think co-creation is the easy way to go for it.
Provider experience to customer. Continuous capability upgradation. And the third point I would like to add is the add fresh value regularly.
See, there are three things that I would like to say in order to improve the collaboration with the with our customers. I think we need to make certain strategic investments, and there are two kinds of strategic investments that would be necessary. One, like Javed said, we have to make an investment in competencies of the people. The second, investments need to be made in tools and technologies. It doesn't need to be from only one company or the other, but enterprise information technology backbone, it needs to be invested in. There is just no doubt about it, because that is your base. Along with adoption of this, what comes is now if you do adopt these, if you have competencies and if you adopt enterprise architectures, enterprise IT backbone, it forces you to adopt standardized processes.
Yeah, that's correct.
And with that comes even something more difficult. Adopting processes is still easy, but you use the word jugaad. It's good and bad, both. I don't know if it is more good or more bad. Adherence to that processes then cannot be jugaad.
Correct.
So those who are maintaining the discipline of adopting these processes and adhering to the processes, because it will take you longer. adhering to the processes will take away your ability to quickly respond. But I think that's the hard choice we need to make. What I would like to cover today is what is happening with the sourcing strategy of Indian auto OEMs. And given that, because that is a huge impact that's going to come to our industry, then what is digitalization doing to the whole mobility business? I would like to just take a quick few minutes about that. And then if digitalization is impacting mobility, what is the role of the digital factory in driving the digital enterprise? Proactively coming up and giving them solutions for the designs. And these are the places where they're saying that we want them on our board. We want them to know that what are the next 5-year plans that we are working on. On the other hand, suppliers are finding out that many OEMs are showing a lot of interest, and they're looking for suppliers to do black box designs and as demonetization. And I think it gives us a very good insight into digitization versus digitalization. What we all went through, a classic ATM machine when demonetization happened, is it was not calibrated. Everything was ready, but it needed 3 people to go and put the new notes in it. While it's a fully digital machine, I would say ATM is a really nice machine. It gives me everything that I want, my balances. It has also started marketing stuff to me when I go take money out. It says you can have a loan and whatnot. But what digitalization should do really, from ATM we move to a Paytm or a wallet, where we said I don't need to touch the money at all. And I think that's what is happening in our industries. If you're making prototypes, people are saying, do I need to make 4 prototypes? Do I need to make 5 prototypes? Can I not do with 1? Can I stop? Can I do all the validations beforehand? Can it be like that I don't have to physically withdraw money, but I can just exchange money through e-wallet? To me, that really gives a good idea of what is digitalization versus digitization. And I think we are all moving towards digitalization with the new product development, new product introduction. It is the cost that is coming down. Some of us who are roaming around different parts of the globe and buying toys, for example, a drone which used to cost $100 is now costing $9, and the size has become twice. So a lot of the costs are coming down. Drones, 3D printing, industrial robots, sensors. I mean, sensors are coming down to, 5 rupees per tag, or maybe even cheaper than that. This is what is fueling a lot of the growth in digitalization. This is what is going to change our factories, our development processes, because costs have come down. Now we can afford to do that. And this change is inevitable. There is a threat of digital Darwinism. People who do not adopt to this, they are going to find themselves not being able to survive. If you look at it, the way products come to life is really rapidly changing. Today, the Chinese smartphone market, what it is doing, it is rapidly going a transformation where they're giving features that you could never think in 10,000, 12,000 rupees that are coming. So people are using intelligent models, they're using generative design, they're becoming very intuitive. So we are changing the way we are designing products. We are also changing the way we are realizing that those products. So once a product has been designed, it has to be physically available. Tangible product has to be available, and that is changing. There's cloud technology, there's automation, there's data analytics. Classic example is Google Maps. It's becoming more and more accurate, and it's data analytics. If I'm in point A, if I want to go to point B, Google Maps will very accurately tell me how much time it will take me to get there. So what does that mean to us? If you were to see that the business or anything consists of an idea, then you realize and you utilize, and then the cycle continues. So what does it mean for digitalization? What can I do to make sure that I am not part of the 50% who are going to fail when they do the digitalization? One key element is it has to be holistic. There is no shortcut to it. There is no shortcut to it without it being holistic. And what does the holistic mean? If we come back to now automotive market or discrete manufacturing, it consists of key steps, which is product design, product planning, production engineering, execution, and then servicing. This forms the chain. Now, unless and until you digitalize this entire chain, you are going to get stuck in that ATM problem, where when you're trying to get the outcome, some point you will find that you need 3 people, you need to do something. So if you get it holistically, if you have a digital representation of the entire model, that really gives you the strength. That gives you the competitive edge. I think that really helps you to collaborate with your OEM as well. Because now you're sitting in front of the OEM and telling them that, this is this is the impact, this is how I can deliver, you know. So